labor and the expression of worth, desperate searches, and cautionary tales. The man who went to a treatment center and came home with a new love. The man who went to a treatment center a second time, directly following his trip to the psychiatric unit, Sunrise, in Roswell, New Mexico. The man who applied for disability, filled out the forms as well as he could understand. Oh, as much as he was willing. The man who was told he was not disabled. The man who, on several very willing occasions, gave himself to the prescriptions that the doctors wrote, psychologists, and even met well-intentioned, logical, intelligent psychiatrists who would speak to him about the importance of his medication, and he would agree, and he would take these medications. And at some point he found himself well over his comfortable weight, with a sense that any kind of movement was a deep struggle, and suicidal ideations continued, and these are just snapshots of a history of a man who seems to have come from a struggling line of anger and violence in the family. A man who vowed to not be like his father. And then one day found himself raging in front of his family, chasing after a dog. The man who, after that incident, called a good feminist friend from the university, one of his wife's colleagues, and said, "I am seeking help. Do you have any suggestions for someone to talk to?" A man who found a therapist named Penny Sanders, who began to demonstrate to him glimpses of unconditional acceptance. A man who began to weep so deeply in front of his therapist that he sometimes ceased to breathe. Yes, it's easy for me to get caught up in this chronology. And if the story must exist, then it must exist to tell a story of resurrection, a story of great strength, a story of recovery, a story of hope, a story of the light. There is a story of a man who gets knocked down and gets back up again. There's a story of a man who feels beaten down. Part of the irony of this man's story is that I'm going to stop there.